or Manjaro, or Mint is the third one. Ubuntu is the fourth most popular download. Now, just because it's a popular download doesn't necessarily mean it's the best Linux, obviously, but it's the one that everybody's turning to at the moment, okay? You know, Debian, Fedora, you know, some of these names you've heard, there's OpenSUSE or whatever and stuff, you know, CentOS, Kali Linux. Well, yeah, because Kali Linux and stuff has some hacking tools in it, so it's not necessarily something that we're all going to, but maybe somebody who's doing some packet sniffing or whatever is going to choose that Linux distribution to kind of do their work a bit. Okay, so anyway, that's that link. Let me come back here to our links, web links. Okay, and then again, let me reshare this screen so I know that we're actually getting this for this recording. Okay, and then at that particular point, eventually here, we're going to have some Linux extra credit along the way for this class to give you kind of a few extra credit points and stuff to help with your grades. Okay, at some point you may want to try running Linux on a USB stick. That's another possibility. That maybe you don't want to do it as a local install because that's the only hard drive that you have. Okay, you don't have a replacement one to work with or whatever, or you're nervous about doing the VMware. So another possibility would be to download the ISO and then use something like Rufus to actually boot off of that USB stick. So the way it works is this, is basically you can go to Rufus's website by clicking on this link here, okay? Click on here, whatever, open it up. And then you can download this little program called Rufus, okay? All right, let me come back to where I was at. That was here. Sorry, here we go. And I want to get up my web links. There we go. Here we go. Sorry about that. I needed to just do a reshare because sometimes this, you know, Zoom session and stuff isn't recorded unless I do the refreshes. Okay, so what you would do is you download the little Rufus burner, because what it does is it actually will burn to install onto a USB stick. If you don't use something like a USB boot creator, then when you copy a file over, it's just like copying a picture or a Word doc. It doesn't do anything without a boot creator. So what you would do is you take a clean brand new USB stick, let's say at least 8 or 16 gigs of memory, okay, so nothing else is on it, and you would go through and you would run Rufus, and it's going to say, hey, when you start it, where's your ISO file? And then you'll tell it, oh, I downloaded my ISO, maybe it's on the desktop. Okay, and then it will actually then create a bootable version, okay, off of that disk, okay, and then you can run that. Now, this is what they call a live distribution, okay. OpenSUSE has a couple of live distribution. The link I gave you was not to the live one, but you could probably find it in the resource center, okay. But I also do want to mention and stuff that when you do something like a live one, you might want to try something like Ubuntu. Ubuntu has been around for a very long time. They have one download ISO that has install and live together, so it's really easy to work with. There's a lot of videos out there on how to set up a USB bootable stick with Ubuntu that you can kind of follow. Fantastic. And this way, what would happen is that you would have a computer, laptop, whatever and stuff. You would insert your USB stick, and then you would boot up and you would select in your CMOS boot from the USB stick. And instead of the computer looking for your operating system on drive C, it's going to look for the operating system on the USB stick. And again, as long as you've actually made it a USB bootable disk with the ISO or whatever, then it will run and it'll say, hey, I found the entire operating system off the USB stick, and then it will feed that into memory. And then all of a sudden your desktop will look like as if it was on the local hard drive, but it's not, it's really on the USB, because the USB is just another storage location, okay? So it's about telling the computer where to find the operating system when it first starts up. Okay, and then at that point and stuff, you can make changes, you know, or start doing things, go out to the web, whatever. There is a whole feature about what's called persistent memory, but I'm not going to go into that right now, whatever. But anyway, that way you could say, hey, I may not be able to do a whole lot, but I can do some of the stuff directly off of a live USB stick. Now, ideally, it would be nice if it was a 3.0 USB and you had a 3.0 port. That would just make the experience a little bit faster, okay? But it's really up to you and stuff on how you want to do that. Okay, so these are some of the things that I was covering on Tuesday, you know, when we had class, whatever, the little Zoom session 2 days ago. So I just wanted to give you that little bit of updates and stuff in terms of what's going on. So if I come back up here and stuff and I look at my modules again, Okay, if I drop down, this is week 11, so I'm going to come down to week 11 over here. There we go. Okay, so you should read chapters 14 and 1. Chapter 14 is going to be all about what is your hardware requirements, system requirements for setting up an operating system. Okay, it would have been nice if they had made this chapter 1, but they didn't. Okay, chapter 1 is the history of Linux. So I'm thinking, well, I could put those two together. Okay, so you have a PowerPoint for chapter 14, then you have your study guide homework, you have a PowerPoint for chapter 1 and a study guide homework. Here you go. Okay, and then if I get a chance, I'm going to try to, between tomorrow and the next day or whatever, I'm going to try to put in a couple little quick little recordings like I did before, with the windows on those chapters, and this way you have a little bit more of an insight, but you got enough to kind of get going on this. The chapter 14, when it talks about hardware and software, whatever, or those system requirements, it's going to feel a little bit like pieces of CIT 12 or 15. It's going to say, hey, what is a hard drive, and you need to have graphics, and what is RAM versus ROM, and whatever, because again, this book was centered around somebody who doesn't have a prior computer experience, so you already might know some of these things, and to try to come up with a hardware configuration list to say, can I even install SUSE on the laptop or the computer that's right in front of me? Okay, that's a first thing off of that. Okay, so that's really what chapter 14 is about. And then chapter 1, like I said, is the history of Linux. It's not until we get to like next week in chapter 2 where you're actually doing an install. And when that happens and stuff, that's when you're going to go and say, hey, did I do it off of a USB stick? Because that's one way to do it. Or did I actually download VMware and then inside of VMware, launch inside that and stuff, and then did I install SUSE Linux, which is what I did for this class, okay, for me, okay, because then I can go through and share that one out. Let's see, if I minimize this screen, I'm going to go ahead and share this last part. I don't think I shared this on Tuesday, okay, I might have, but so when I installed, here we go, when I installed VMware, this is what it looks like, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and launch VMware, and I've already installed OpenSUSE, whatever. I've already installed at least a version of an operating system. Oops, don't need to worry about that. Okay, so let's say here I have OpenSUSE 11.2. Okay, no problem. Or if I want to create a new virtual system with that or SUSE 9.0, I go through this route. Okay, but let me go ahead and launch OpenSUSE 11.2. Okay, give it a chance to come up. And again, I'm going to go ahead and this is actually running. I'm going to share my screen again, new share, so you can actually see what's going on. There we go. And so right now inside, if you notice, I have Windows out here on the back world or whatever. Okay. And then inside of that, I have VMware. And inside of that, I'm actually running OpenSUSE. Okay, again, this is the open source version of SUSE Linux. Okay, and so it's going to come up and then ask me what's my login. And for this class, I made it pretty generic, whatever. So I got, what is it? My CIT40, T40, oh, not even that, CIT40. Oops, let me try this again. CIT40, CIT40. I made my password the same thing, CIT40. CIT40. See if I can get that one going here. Cool. Now, you wouldn't want to use a username and password that are identical for yours, right? That's going to be a big security issue for you, right? Okay, so yeah, no, don't. But I just did it because I'm using this for demo purposes for our class, okay? So here's actually, SUSE Linux, and I can go out to the web. Over here's like my start button in Windows, so I can see my menu system, whatever. And a lot of this, again, will mimic very close to what's in the book, okay? OpenSUSE is very, very similar to the regular SUSE program, okay? And so when I'm done with this, is I want to log out or shut down this. Remember, it's an operating system. I'm gonna go to my start button, right? And I'm gonna say, hey, I want to leave, and then I want to shut down this one. Now, I'm not shutting down Windows. Remember, I'm just shutting down my SUSE operating system. So I'm going to click on shutting down, and it says great, turn it off. Okay. Remember, it's not going to shut down the whole computer system. It's just shutting down what? It's shutting down SUSE Linux inside of this virtual environment. Okay, because remember, it's kind of like running an application. We ran this application called virtual system, or virtual, right? No problem with that. Okay, and then I'm inside that internal world. Okay, so let's go here and share screen. There we go. And I'm kind of right back to where I was at. Okay, So hopefully this kind of helps out a bit and stuff, gives you kind of a basic overall feel for what the next few weeks are going to be with Microsoft Windows. And so, you know, it's in that kind of, you know, zest or whatever. Let's see how we got here. Yeah, in that kind of world that says, hey, where are we going with this? Okay, what's this really going to be about? So anyway, I hope that kind of helps. Let's see, I need to stop my share. And I need to stop my recording. So you guys have a great day and look for my next emails and perhaps short videos and stuff about what's coming up next. All right, bye.